Hi, this is Divine. Thank you for tuning in. I'm just touching base on the previous video. And so I'm going to be focusing on the healing process, which is very important in order for you to regain control over your life. Um, so when you're under that amount of stress, you have to take not just one day at a time. It's like one moment at a time. And in in that kind of high pressure environment, constantly you need to take each moment and take constant deep breaths to refocus. Just like this. Minimizing thought process also works. I call it one compartmentalizing. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Compartmentalizing your situation. So you have a life, you have maybe you have children, maybe you have family, you have a life. You either going to school or you working, you have bills to pay, you have house rent, house problems, rental problems, car problems, family problems, relationship problems, etc. On top of that, you have to deal with your stressor, whether it's added work stress, whether you're being stalked, whether someone's picking on you, whatever your situation is, you have to compartmentalize it in order for you to successfully deal with each part of your life successfully. Remind your family it is my belief that family always comes first. When you are with family, make sure you are with family and that you're avoiding toxic behavior and bringing your stress into your family environment. So in order for you to successfully do this, you need to learn to compartmentalize your situations. And so I started this and I learned about this a long time ago. Like almost 20 years ago, 18 to 20 years ago, when I started having a lot of stress at work. So like I said, in my previous video, I've always been strong. It's not to boast my ego. It's what people have told me that this has been the compliments that people have given me. Like I said, I left home when I was 18. I decided to just build my own life because I wanted to see if I could have build a legacy of my own the way my parents did. My parents were very independent. They didn't have family to rely on because they had bad family. But I chose to just leave and try to build my own legacy, not because my family was bad, but because I wanted to see if I could do it. So, like I said, when I left home at age 18, I had in my mind, I wanted to grow as a person. I wanted to build my life. Um, so like about 20 years ago, I was dealing with a new job. It was extremely stressful. But that's why I got in because no one could do the job or no one could deal with the dynamics. And therefore, they couldn't hold people in for more than a year. So I said I'll do it, and I didn't stay for way over a year, and the dynamics were extremely stressful. That's why they had the issues they were having. So in meditation, at that time I already meditate. I've been into the meditation practices since I was a little girl. Um, I first came across meditation practices, etc. when I was a young girl. Um, Like I said, I come from the finance department, money, banking, investment, etc. And so did my mom. So when we were younger, when I was younger, many years ago, she had a client who was into this, and she became friends of our family. And so she introduced me to the crystal healing, meditation, etc. And since I was a young girl, drawn to it. The moment I met her, I was like in awe of her. So it was hard for me, like as a teenager, to meditate and to focus my mind. For example, the first meditation I attempted was the candle flick meditation, where you light up a candle, you focus on the flickering of the fire, and you close your mind out, and you only focus on the flickering of the fire of the candle. That is a great, for me, was a starter for meditation. I would put on a candle, I would stare at the flickering of the fire to try to close out the rest and just focus on the flame of the candle and the flickering of it. Um, it is very hard in this world because they seem to be distracted all the time. So there's social media, there's all things you gotta do. Which if you think about it, you don't really have to do it. If you think about the essence of life and living, it's not a lot. We add unnecessary, which I call distractions, unnecessary things in our daily lives. They are unnecessary and therefore become a distraction. And it keeps our attention and our focus away from things that are actually important. So at first I started with that. So if it's recent, you get a candle, put it in front of you, and you watch the flickering. Your thoughts will come and go. Don't fight it. The worst thing is when they say don't think. The first thing your mind will do is start thinking. And thoughts will rush in. What you did yesterday, what you could have done better, all this judgment your mind has about you and what you did wrong, etc. So the goal is to not try to block it, is to let it come and let it go. You focus on the flickering of the candle. You let your thoughts come in and you let them go. As you breathe in, you let the thoughts come in, but you let them go. So the trick is letting it go. So you observe your mind. As the thoughts rush in, take a deep breath. Observe what's in your mind and you let it go. And you keep doing that as a process. And that will calm you and center you. So you can have one better judgment, have a better view of your own life. And you can notice your own patterns where you need to fix and where you need to work on and what you need to cut off. Like I said, I started pretty young. It was really hard for me in the beginning. But as I grew older, it became easy. I can breathe at the same time that I'm doing a lot of things. And, eventually you get to do a lot of things all at once while you're thinking, you're doing what you're doing, you're breathing, and you're also meditating at the same time. People say it's not possible. It is. But I just think of that way because I had a lot of stress. My work is stressful. My situations were stressful. I had a lot of incidents, accidents, etc. Um, but that's how I started. So we're way back to basics. How do you start? And then there's what they call the rewiring of your brain. Because society teaches us, like, hey, my previous video, I mentioned to be dependent on third parties. Like, they want you dependent on a spiritual leader for your spirituality. When you live inside yourself, so you are your best spiritual leader, always will be. But if you need a guide, yes, you can have many guides, but you need someone to hold your hand and take you to spiritual enlightenment per se. That's something you do on your own. Any monk will tell you it's an internal path. But then you have religious leaders trying to say you need a church, which you absolutely don't. Never have and never will. And that's my problem with religion. My problem is not with God, it's with religion and religious practices, the dogmatic part of it. So, in terms of medical, your body, prevent any good doctor will tell you preventive care is the best care. Instead of waiting to get sick to then get treated, work on prevention. And what is prevention? Well, eating healthy, some sort of exercise, you stretching regularly. You don't have to exercise to start running a marathon. You can just do some stretches, do some bridges. It's extremely hard at my age to the bridges, but I do it. And there are many stretching. You can do stretching exercises. You can take like 10 minutes a day. No big deal. It starts small. It's my point. Don't try to run a marathon right away. Create small goals. They're achievable. Your body functions in a way where it gets what's it called? Dopamine, like those positive chemicals in your body when you get something done. So create smaller goals you can achieve. So stretch for 10 minutes. Achieved. Eat healthier. You don't start cutting carbs right away. It took me, I started cutting carbs 20 years ago. So I didn't cut carbs right away. I started just cutting carbs late at night because I carb stopped the whole day. It was bread in the morning, pasta in the afternoon, and rice at night. So back in the days, I was always consuming carbs. And then as I started getting closer to aging, I started realizing I was getting a little on the softer side, a little chunky for my taste. I still am. I always think I'm chunky. But I started cutting carbs at night only. And then after a few years of successfully cutting carbs at night, then I started cutting carbs in the afternoon. And then eventually I got used to just not having carbs. And if I do have carbs, it's not from pasta bread and rice. It's from fruits and nuts. So you'll get higher eventually. You just have to practice and start small and allow your body to take the time it needs. I grew up eating rice, pasta, bread since I was born. I think so I can remember sugar. Oh yeah, like we used to melt sugar and melted cheese together. It's delicious. So I grew up with not terrible habits, but not with this kind of awareness that we have today. Today we have more awareness about eating habits, etc. than back in the days. Back in the days it was more we can afford it, so it's good. And we're thankful because we could afford it. Thankfully now we live in better times where it's not just about affordability, it's also about affording rules. that can prevent disease. So healthy foods, healthy eating habits, etc. So once you start getting your body used to it, eventually your body will actually crave healthy foods. So I will indulge from time to time, but most of the time my body actually craves like fruits that I actually crave kale from time to time. It's my body got used to it. So it's about training your body little by little, and you train your taste buds to crave and get used to different tastes and the taste of healthy food. And you can indulge in the recipes for healthier food. There are many desserts that are made 100% from healthy ingredients and taste good. So you start small and then eventually you grow and you build based on your body needs and your lifestyle and your likings, etc. And so, for example, I'm much older now. I've been through a lot of stress. Lately, I'm still going through, my ex-husband using my divorce just to fuck me over and fuck my children over because he's a child abuser. And that's taking a huge toll on me, my health, physically. Because like I said, when you're under that amount of stress, your body is not gonna wanna get up. You're gonna wanna eat terrible foods to calm the stress. So you have to go back to basics a lot of times in life, life comes in phases and sadly not everybody is ready to just live in peace and accept goodness and live well and do well for others. Some people are stuck in being vengeful and being petty to the point that they will hurt children and they will jeopardize the future of children because they have petty, unresolved ego issues. And we live with them, I guess. Like we work with them, we share space with these kinds of people. And it sucks. And so since we're the better people, we have to do the work. Um so remember to breathe throughout the day. When you wake up, I like to do affirmations or before you go to sleep, whichever one works for you. If you woke up in a rush and you didn't have time, you can put affirmations on while you drive. And it's not to say, oh, I'm gonna get a job and telling you lies. It's the affirmations I like is about well-being. Because you can't necessarily always control the outcome, but you can control your emotional stability. So, starting the morning, being thankful for what is working out in your life, I feel that it helps. You have a different outlook. It's not going to change your situation. My situation is still shitty. I'm still living in shitty situations. My children are still suffering, but I can be thankful that I have healthy food, for certain things that are still working out. I can be thankful for, I have certain good people in my life, and I'm thankful. I wish I had more. I do have children that do wish to be with me, and I wish somebody will listen to my children because they can speak, and they have spoken, and they did say they want to stay with me and be with me, with my children. But you have people who just lie, and then you have moron judges who go along with lies without asking for any evidence. And while there is nothing you can do about that fact, it is very sad and disappointing, not only for my personal life, but like society. that we don't have a functioning society. We don't have a functioning legal system. We have a legal system that allows the subjugation of children and the abuse of children using the legal system. It's very depressing. But you can wake up and be thankful for the little things and not lose hope because there are things working out for you. Try to build from there. So I spoke very briefly about my medical interventions in the past. I don't know if I spoke that they also try to, I want to call it, give me cancer because, like I said, they tried to give me a heart problem in Florida. I had no heart problem. They also tried to give me cancer, and that time I believed it. But like I said, I went through a lot. I think if I did the numbers right, I had almost died after giving birth. It was due to hemorrhage. So I lost over 50% of my blood because they couldn't pull out my uterus. So they had to do a partial hysterectomy so I could live, supposedly. After that, how many years? I think it was closer to like 4 years. It wasn't 5 yet, so 3 to 4 years. Then it came the heart problem. But in between, so maybe after 2 years after my almost dying due to giving birth, they said I had cancer. And because they said it was like full on cancer, it was supposedly they said it was cancer cells. I hate them and I went along with it. I didn't have it on my radar yet. That when I say being targeted, everything happens. It's consistently. The accidents were always happening. Until the medical accidents, incidents, the medical problems were always happening too. So 2 years after they said I had cancer cells, we had to cut them out, do some minor lasers. It always starts with minor. So I went along with it because it was minor surgery and I did the laser minor surgery, etc. And then 2 years later, then I have heart problems. And when they said I had cancer, I said, really, I just need to better my lifestyle. And mind you, I've been working on my lifestyle of eating healthier, exercising way before, over 20 years ago. So, which is since like 2004, 2006, around there. So, it's not like I'd eat garbage. And then the giving birth, etc., happened around 2014-ish when I almost died. So 2 years after, and then I have cancer, apparently. And then 2 years later, now I have heart problems. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right because I only get better at my habit, at eating better, at exercising, and it just doesn't make sense. And that's when I decided to go to another state, get a second opinion, and it turned out there was nothing wrong with me. And that was like, so maybe there's never been anything wrong with me, and it's just tactics. And eventually, when you're being targeted, you realize that's how I came across the identification process. It's constantly. What I mean constantly, it doesn't stop. Your health issues, they don't stop. Your accidents, they don't stop. Your interactions with people, that are very negative out of nowhere, or people you don't even know. They don't stop. Like random people coming across the street and screaming at you. I've had that happen. I had people follow me in the middle of the streets when I was just walking around, and they start being aggressive with you. That doesn't stop. And so you learn to identify that and you haven't done anything. So you know it's not you. And so you realize there's something going on, and it's target. That's why you call it being targeted, because you are the target. And so working on yourself is extremely important because you have to maintain calm when that's happening. So you don't want to overreact. And two, you don't get into unnecessary physical altercation because they try to push your buttons for that to happen. So they can put the blame on you. At the end of the day, if they don't get you to commit suicide, they will try to get you to put yourself in a position where you get into a violent altercation and something negative can happen. And you get blamed or you get, you know. So learning meditation and be healthy and maybe you have to run in certain occasions, keeping yourself physically or semi-physically active is important because at the end of the day, you are the target and your health is the target. And that's very sad that they would do this, but they would, and they have, and they did. And I'm not the only one, sadly. So when you feel that tightness in your core, remember to breathe because you don't want your core to always be tight. That means your energy is strained and it's not flowing. So that means you can't relax and you can't think clearly. So throughout the day, you need to build that awareness that when you're too tense and too tight, you need to breathe. I like to take some meditation moments either early in the morning or before you go to bed. Just set the pace for the day and set the pace for your sleep. If you don't have time, you take one or the other. You do what you can when you can. That's why I say build it around your life. Because when you're very busy, you have a lot of stress, you have a lot going on, you barely have time for anything. So time management is extremely important. Also, when you are in that situation, if you have a more relaxed lifestyle now, then you can take your time, you can take it slower, which is better for your mind, body, and soul, and being relaxed. But it's a balance where you direct what feels comfortable to you. Not other people looking outward. I think it should be doing this. What's none of your business? You don't live inside of me. You don't live my life. I live my life. I live inside of me. I know what bothers me, what doesn't. And that's why I'm for the method where you guide your own lives instead of depending on people. Oh, I think you should do this. Well, I think you should shut up and leave me the fuck alone. Because like I said, I don't have any priors. I don't really do anything wrong, but people want to come at you and start pointing fingers at you for no reason other than they're jealous of you. For whatever reason, it's crazy. So, taking lead in your life, I believe that's the most important thing, regardless what you're going through. Will always help you because it gives you that some charge of your own life. So like I said, this my medical problems only happened when I was living in that state. It, it's like I moved out of the state and suddenly I have no problems. Unless I don't allow doctors to try to find problems in me. I feel great and therefore I'm great. So I want to talk about also the fear-based living that society tries to push onto people. For example, I hate Bill Gates because of this sinus COVID, that man pushes so much BS bullshit, really, and fear-based beliefs on people that you have some cycles out there just because they listen to Bill Gates so much. That's just one person. There are many other people. So, for example, there are many people who literally is like, what if there's something wrong with me that cannot be found? For example, cancer was the biggest thing. And people are worried, oh, what if there's cancer somewhere in my cell? And you have to understand sometimes the doctors will make up that you have cancer in your cells because you have a good insurance and they're going to get aid. And then you already have that clear belief that there are cancers in your cells. So it's easy to sell, easy for them to make money. You have to understand the kind of world we live in. And you have to take charge of your life. It's not medical advice. I'm not saying to go to the doctor. But I'm saying trying to connect the mind, body, spirit. Go to the doctor when you feel you need to go to the doctor. Do your annual exams. You know, they come out fine, they come out fine. But I try to look for doctors that are mind, body, soul oriented, right? You don't want the doctors that just try to prescribe you things. There are great doctors out there that do try to balance your lifestyle with the medical system. So I had a doctor once that, said you're great, you're healthy. And I asked him, oh, and what can I do to be even better? And he just looked at me, oh, you want to? Yes. Some doctors are really interested in making their patients better, but the patients are not interested in that sometimes. And so he's like, oh, you should be lifting weights. You should be doing this. And what is your routine? And he got all interested. So at that time when I asked, I didn't lift the weights yet. So then that's when I started incorporating weights into my routine. Currently, like I said, my situation is extremely bad because, you know, of what they're doing. And I don't even like to talk about it because it's my children. I in disbelief of our legal system and what they're willing to do to screw you over. They're willing to stoop so low that they will go after your children. And so, you know, you always have to restart your life, going back to basics, going back to things that work. You have to readjust based on new phases of your life. So, like I said, the working out hard and going to the gym and if the weights doesn't work for everybody. Well, everybody recommends it. They don't realize that not everybody is in that state where they can. So that's why I say take control of your life and you do what you can, when you can, where you can, where you feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, you have to live your life. You're the one who has to find peace in your life and the way you live. And so many people want to come and tell you what to do. And I don't understand that. Well, if your life's so great, you should be, selling it. Like motivation and somebody will wait for it if it's that great, but I'm not interested. And so there are many people out there that like to insert themselves into your life and you didn't even ask. And it's these people, if you're so great, people will be paying for your opinions. And if that's the case, good luck. But I'm not one of those people that's going to pay for your opinion, That's how it is. So I highly recommend that you take ownership of your life. But I also understand not many people prefer that. Many people are still needing guidance and needing to have their hand held into the process. So if you're one of those people, like I said, deep breaths throughout the day. Don't let yourself be so tight and tense because then you can't think clearly. Practice meditation first thing in the morning and before you go to sleep. I prefer sleep meditations. I go into on sleeping headphones, the soft ones, where you can sleep with it, and it actually has the cover for your eyes. So if you're with someone and they're watching TV, you won't bother you. And you sleep with meditation. And I love that. To me, that works. For some people, they hate it. So it's what works for you at the end of the day. You need to be able to relax. You need to be able to be as light as a feather. And then you have to be able to turn on the switch to go to work and be productive, etc. So it's all about balancing and incorporating these practices the way it works in your life based on your situation. In eating healthy, like I said, you start little by little. Most women that I'm aware need to cook carbs. And they, even for men, they recommend that you don't eat the bad carbs, which is processed, like white rice, white pasta. But they have different pastas that taste delicious, like lava wheat, lentil. They have this new pasta I found. It's great for men that is super high in protein and super high in fiber, but super high in calories. But men can afford it. I know I can't. So you look for what you need. Um, and you make it taste good because food that tastes bad, you're not gonna want to eat it. So it's not try to stuff it in your face because it's healthy. No, you try to make it taste good so you can like it. So that's a trick I use. I love cooking. I cook. I love recipes, and I make all kinds of different things. I can bake too. So I took it upon myself to try to make it taste good. If you're not into cooking and all that stuff, you can try to find restaurants and they have these places where you buy food. They deliver you with the recipe and I will put it together. It's really simple. For Italy, it's not because I don't use it, but they also have those services. But you can try. But the point is that you want to train your body to start liking healthy foods. In order for you to like healthy foods, well, you have to make it taste good. And you can. Luckily, we're so lucky. There are so many great recipes that actually make healthy foods taste good. So that is the eating healthier works. It's not only good if you're under stress, but it's just good overall for long term. The meditation practices, you do what you can. When I was very busy, very hectic lifestyle, I meditated in my sleep. And when I went running, to me, I used to have that, what they call the runner's high. I used to run every morning. Not a lot, just for 20 minutes, 20-minute run. And it gives you that runner's high, is what they call it. There's a book on runner's high too. It's fantastic. And it's true. Some people have that kind of high riding a bicycle. I don't, because I like to feel the concrete in my feet. Because I like to feel Mother Earth and be close. I like to do grounding and roll your foot and stuff. Not everybody likes that. You don't have to. But you find what you like is the point. Because you want to create your routine for yourself, for what works for you. It works for your body. So you also have to kind of study yourself and about spirituality, right? The Bible does say, know thyself. When I mean know thyself, you have to know your body, how your body works, how your mind works, how your emotional body works, so you can deal with your emotions. So when I look at yourself, like thyself, ourselves, I look at everything that makes us, us, which is the body, the mind, the emotional, the spiritual. I also personally go into past life regressions because so one of my favorite books is it's called Many Minds, Many Masters. You go into a guided meditation. They call it ah it's a guided when the psychiatrist tries to take you and they guide you into happening in your life hypnosis. You can do guided meditation or be hypnotized to go into past lives the same way you can be guided and hypnotized to go into a past event in your life. We can actually reach now past life regressions, which a lot of times people don't understand. Some people are born with problems. I disagree with the belief that people are born great and society turns them bad. I disagree. So, like, I found some interviews and podcasts where there was interviews with psychopaths. The psychopath being interviewed will tell you if you look in YouTube, they have it. They were born that way, and there are signs when they're children. When they're psychotic, and the only person I've met that way is my husband. Thankfully, my children are all healthy, and they don't have that kind of behavior. The psychopath will try to project that into other children, which is sad. But luckily, my children are not that way. I just want to put this out there because I just study it because my husband is a psychopath. Doing as in past life regressions, you can find out that there were issues in your past lives that weren't healed, and therefore in your new life, you bring that with you to attempt to heal it in this one. And it goes into belief, karmic energies, karma that you bring from another life, and problems you bring from another life. But those are my beliefs. Not everybody believes in that, but when I say health, I look into everything. When I say work on yourself, I mean work on everything that makes you. And it's very hard when you're under a lot of stress for a long time, and when society takes upon themselves to screw you over, or someone that was supposed to use the divorce to screw you over because they have little egos. We want to believe that we're past that in our society, that we have such a great society, that those kinds of people don't exist anymore, but they do. Sadly, they do. And sadly, people sympathize with cycles. It's insane. It's crazy. So I'm just putting it out there. So the more awareness there is, the more we push for people to work on themselves. The less cycles and cycles famines we have out there. I don't understand how people can sympathize with cycles. But sadly, with my experience, I realize many people sympathize with the cycles. And it's sad that our society is so broken because people have zero awareness, zero common sense, and inability to apply logic into situations. That's why I want to go back to a legal system that's more evidence-based, not accusations. And because this judge has bias towards my husband, decides I don't need proof. We used to have a common sense. We just don't anymore. But we have too many people that call themselves experts and they understand nothing. But yet they're out there creating these rules, creating these processes. They're terrible and they don't work. And that is why society is crumbling. It's falling apart. Because we lost the most basic foundation, which is common sense. And so I just want to bring it up because working on yourself is an eternal job. You start and you never end, not in this lifetime, not in the next. Because we're infinite beings, we're constantly growing, and growth is infinite. It's never good enough, it's never perfect enough, and we're never done. So, and there'll be phases in your life where you fall, where you have to build yourself, where you change, and you have to rebuild your life around the new changes. So change is inevitable, and change is not the problem. People make society, and society is crumbling because people are crumbling, because people lost common sense, and they lost that notion that you constantly have to work on yourself. And the notion of the achievement of always trying to be independent and self-made. And people lost motivation, strength, and love or life. And I go back to my previous video, people don't know what it's like to be loved for just being the one, for just being you, which is called unconditional love. Which source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is the source of unconditional love. And therefore, you should live that way. But we don't have that kind of society anymore, and that's why I believe it's crumbling. There is no real connection between people. It's just people out to get you, out to get each other, to try to make a buck or two out of you. Like my husband stole inheritance from me, and he's an attorney, and he said, well, we were married, so, and it's true, legally speaking, but I'm talking about the character. Like, when my father was alive, he looked in my father's eyes and said, no, I understand this is hers, and even though we're married, I completely understand. Shook hands with my dad, looked him in the eye, and after my dad passed away, he pretended it never happened. And so, legally, I understand. But you have to understand that people have no character to look you in the eye, in the light, shake your hand and everything, meet all your family and lie to all your family members, and then screw you over. And so we have this society where everyone's guarded for a reason, because we have psychopaths like Max husband, and some pretty awareness in how we can protect ourselves, but without losing connection, while still maintaining our hearts. Because we can't let them win. If the psychopaths are affecting our society negatively, and we allow ourselves to be tainted by the psychopaths, then we lost. Because eventually we all become psychopaths. Because the reason why psychopaths are the way they are is because they lack unconditional love. If it doesn't come from your parents, you have to find it within you, with God and universe, source, whatever you want to call it, meditation. You have to find that spiritual connection to source, to God, that gives you the unconditional love you didn't get from your parents, if that's your case. And the psychopaths who don't go that route, they never find it. So to them, it's normal to not be loved, to not give love, to fuck people over, to live on the basis where you fuck everybody over. And when they live that way, they teach feed around them. That is the way to live. And we have to remind everyone that is not how we want society to be. We want society to have laws, to be smarter about who we trust, but without losing our hearts, our love, our connection. Because what makes society better is us. The fact that we can connect on a loving level. We don't have to trust anybody right away. We can have agreements accordingly. We can have contracts accordingly, but we can still maintain a truthful connection, which is to be decent people. We don't have to be garbage and crap just because other people were garbage and crap to us. And so I'm just telling my story and trying to help to rebuild society without the psychopaths and without having the psychopaths taint the way we live and the way we move forward. Thank you for tuning in. Please do the YouTube thing. Thank you.